First, I will welcome Reverend Wendy Heath to come and lead us in prayer.
Me ino I tātou. E te atua tō mātou kaihanga. Ka te aho te māramatanga o me te ora I o kupu kōrero. Ka timata o mahi ka mau te tika me te aroha. Mea te kia u tonu ki a mātou tō aroha I roto I tēnei hui huinga. Whakaki a mātou whakaro a mātou mahi katoa e tō wairu. Āmeni. God, our Creator, when you speak, there is light and life. When you act, there is justice and love. Grant that your love may be present in our meetings so that we may say and what we do may be filled with your Holy Spirit. Amen.
Thank you, Wendy. Please stay standing and I will invite Jess Hurst to lead us in the waiata.
E re re ra e aku wai Māori, e maringi atura ki a koutou e. E re re ra e aku wai Māori, e maringi atura ki a koutou e. Rangi tata ki runga puriroro ki raro, te tai o are piuru ki waho e. E re re ra e aku wai mihi e.
Kia ora, thanks. Jess, please be seated. Awesome. And thank you, Rev Wendy. Appreciate you coming along. Alrighty, so we're going to get into the meeting. We may have to adjourn once just to wait on sign off, but we'll just step through it. So first I've got apologies. I've got Councillor Owen Jackson. I'm happy to move that from the chair. Can I have a seconder? Graham, happy to second that. Thank you. I'll put the motion. All those in favour, please say aye. No public forum, urgent business or minor should be fine. Conflicts of interest, nothing, no. So reports, I'll pass. Do you want to lead that, Stephen, or do you want to pass on to Janice? Yep, okay, brilliant, thank you.
So you are here to sign off our annual report, but at the moment we're just waiting for final sign-off from Audit New Zealand. We expect that to be imminent. Effectively, the document's pretty much done. We're just translating some of the charts we had into graphs around the service performance measures, and the data's all there, so we're just working through that at the moment. But we are hoping to hear from imminently, so we may need to adjourn the meeting just to wait to get the document signed, and then we can bring it back to you for your sign-off. In the interim, and with that caveat on board that it's not a finally signed off audited document yet, I would like to invite Janice from our Audit and Risk Committee, one of the independent members, to speak to or to brief you on the annual report and give you her comments.
Okay, thanks, Stephen. For those of you that don't know me, I'm Janice Frederick, an independent member of the Audit and Risk Committee, and have been on that committee since May 2020. You'd normally be hearing from Bruce Robertson, who's chair of the committee, but he is doing this for other organisations around the country today. And it's virtually the same report as we had last year in terms of timing, hard up against the deadline, etc. And it's once again been a long road to get to this point. The committee has overseen the production of the annual report and the audit of the financial statements. And ideally we'd have had it approved by the prior council, but that was a step too far for us, so here we are. And we've had several meetings and email exchanges, with the latest version of the report actually received was it 1:30, Stephen, I think?
Yes, that's correct.
So I particularly want to acknowledge the hard work of the finance team, or it's probably more than the finance team, the whole Timaru District Council team and Audit New Zealand to get this over the line. And I know the line has got really close this year, so the efforts of both teams is appreciated. And the annual report is it's actually an important document. The first section is valuable in that for the council and community, but it's the financial section that's particularly important when considering the future. And what do those results show? What is the strength of the balance sheet? And what does this mean for things like the annual plan, the water reform, Theatre Royal, and all those other major projects? So we're pleased that during the week to say that Audit New Zealand are anticipating issuing an unqualified audit report. And that, as you said, Stephen, that's imminent. And the committee therefore endorse approval of the report, but that depends on your degree of comfort. Our recommendation would be to approve it with delegation to the acting chief executive for minor changes that might arise. And I don't know that you're expecting many of those, Stephen, apart from presentational issues?
Yeah, from our perspective, the document's complete from a content perspective. It'll just be adding some title pages and finalising the table of contents, which you're going to do last in the piece.
Okay. So I don't have anything further to add apart from to thank everyone involved, and I really do hope that one year we get to have one with a bit of leeway in the timeline. Happy to answer any questions anyone might have.
Thanks. Janice, any questions? Yeah, just for Janice.
Yeah, hopefully not too technical either.
But then we can, so we can receive and note that report and then go into questions, and then we can, if there's any specific questions relating to the auditor, then we can ask those separately. So look, I'm happy to move from the chair that we receive a note report. Thank you, Chris. Councillor Thomas, the seconder. Any further discussion? If not, I'll put the motion. All those in favour, please say aye. And against, carried. So the report itself we can go into. Stephen, did you want to give any sort of high-level stuff, and then we can go to questions, and then we can look where we are time-wise? Thank you.
Yep, so we're pleased to present the draft to you. As I said, it's in its final stages of getting signed off at the moment. Again, it's had a rigorous audit, so you can be fairly confident when it gets to you finally this afternoon, it will be in a good position. There aren't that many changes that are of any significance from the draft you're seeing before, so you can have a degree of confidence that we're not sort of pulling the rug from under you. It's been a really challenging year. It's been an interesting year for the organisation, one of change when we're trying to get the water services plan over the line, which I'm pleased to say we have. And we've also been working under a new level of financial discipline that we were never really forced to do. For example, our personnel costs were 1.34 million under budget, and our finance costs decreased, which is due to lower interest rates, which we'll hope continue because it softens the blow a little bit. We're progressing on our progress got underway properly on these years on our flagship capital projects, which includes the Aorangi Stadium, Theatre Royal Museum, and the new organics facility at Redress, now operational, which processes 27,000 tonnes of green waste a year. Our social housing reached 100% occupancy for the first time in a long time, and all the units are compliant with Healthy Home standards. We've made significant progress with the Peel Forest landfill remediation, so that's stopping our last generation's rubbish ending up in the Rangitoto River, and we're doing a lot of work in stormwater. And again, the reform in water was quite huge, and now we're looking down the gun of resource management and local government, as well as balancing affordability with service delivery. Our capital project was 45.7 million, with most spent on road and water and wastewater projects, which were largely delivered within their planned programmes. So our priorities for the year ahead are quite clear. We're building the resilience of our infrastructure. We're trying to do our bit to see how we can foster growth and a diverse economy, and in all making Tipperary a great place to live. We will do this in a financially responsible and conservative manner, where we are tightly looking at costs and where we can save them and where we can do things more smartly and cost efficiently. Because that's the real, and while capital spend has the big numbers on the balance sheet, it's through that operational efficiencies where we can limit rates bills. So myself or my colleague from Finance here will be happy to ask any questions. Anything from the back of the book can go towards Andrea.
And Stephen, can I just get you briefly to speak to, because I'm conscious, and this has come up, that we've got 3 new council members signing off a report for a whole lot of work that they weren't involved with, which happens every 3 years.
Yeah, so as I said during the induction, starting at council is a bit like a relay race that your previous council hands on all the good stuff and some of the bad stuff to you to run with. The annual report's one of the good things. The report looks at everything that we as a council did up to the end of June, and it's forward-looking, but it's that thing where we learn lessons and see where the position we are right now, so it is relevant to your career going forward. But as I said, you're the ones that have to sign that off, but it doesn't actually reflect your performance in this role.
Awesome, thank you. Let's go to questions. So just for context, the last council did receive a draft of this, so they're sort of familiar with it, but if there's any further questions from past or new elected members, current elected members, please, the floor is open. Yeah, Councillor Scott.
I've got just one question for you, Stephen, and I'll leave it for one for Andrea. But just with regards to presentation, once the summary of changes that you just talked about, will you provide us with that so I can look at it?
Yep, we'll table the summary of changes, but we'll get it to you as soon as it's complete. We want it to be as comprehensive as possible, so it will be right at the moment that the signature is put on the document.
That would be great.
But as I said, it's at this point, as you'd be expecting, it is reasonably minor. There's no major billions or millions moving in or around.
Hope not. Okay, no, that's fine. Oh, yeah.
So I'll just comment on that as well. So the numbers overall haven't changed. There's just been reclassifications between different funding streams, activities. In the PPE note, there was some things that got moved from this column to that column and things like that. So majority of the changes have essentially been reclassification type changes, yeah, and or presentation, yeah.
One question, Andrea, just around liability. I just wondered if you could explain what is driving that increase in those long-term liabilities, and what effect is that going to have on, say, our future borrowings or debt levels?
So the majority of the long-term liabilities is the debt. And so it's a matter of our total overall borrowings from LGFA was $250 million. But depending on the maturity of those, they move from current liability to non-current liability. So we're on track for what we had planned. Yeah.
We had such a significant increase in liability.
The balance sheet, it's hard to budget the balance sheet. Yeah. I'll just...
Thank you. Councillor Pye.
Thank you. I have a couple of questions and a statement that I'll turn into a question like Councillor Burt does. I know you are. First of all, Andrea, there were quite a number of corrections to the comparative figures. Is that just a reflection of the change of auditor, or what is that telling us as councillors?
So due to the change of council last year, change of auditors last year, there were things that were done differently. And then so for us to be comparative for this year, we've had to make some changes, and there was also some printing number, errors, I guess you could call them.
Okay, thank you. I had a question on the Peel Forest landfill. Is that project finished now, and will we get a report on how that ended up compared to budget in a post kind of project report on that? Probably Mr Dixon, wherever he's finding.
Yeah, I can answer that one. Yes, through your worship. This project is nearing completion. Basically, all the refuse has been removed now and disposed of down at Red Ruth. What is left to do now is just landscaping, and unfortunately, due to the upcoming summer season, it's not the best time to be planting. So that will happen probably April, maybe perhaps March, April, depending on the weather, and then that'll be the end of that project. The quantities of waste that are removed from there are a lot less than what was forecast, so we are well under budget.
It's good. Just on that, as far as where that sits now, perhaps just a final wrap-up report can come through to the projects committee. I think that sort of makes sense. Councillor Pye.
So I have one more question, which I know the answer to, but I really just want to ask it. We won the best tasting water in New Zealand, and I wondered if someone could confirm the source of that water.
Yep. Do you not know?
My understanding is it comes from a shallow bore right next to a dairy farm in Pleasant Point. Best tasting water in the country.
Yes, that is correct.
Well, there is, as you said, the Sea Down scheme was best tasting water in New Zealand. We say the Australians had a home turf advantage when it went over there, or maybe didn't travel as well. The bore is from a farming area, I would say. Thank you.
And what is interesting for all the new councillors is that because we consistently win this prize, we do move it around our schemes. So we've had multiple different schemes win the prize or come pretty close to winning, haven't we, over the years. So we know we're the best, but we want to test ourselves.
Is there a distinction between healthy water and best tasting water?
Okay, enough said.
I just have one more. That is not a question, but actually it was a key thing I picked up when I read this report for about the third time, and it does concern me. So I guess my question is: are the other councillors concerned by this? But you don't need to answer it. Is our rates penalties nearly doubled last year to this year? And to me, that is screaming evidence of our community is struggling with their rates bill. And whilst I never advocate for setting rates lower than what they need to be, that is a concern, and we need to look harder at how we can make rates more affordable for us.
Yeah. Did you want to comment on that?
I can probably comment. I mean, from our perspective, while we can't go into that analysis thing, but that's one of the values of the annual report being the big roundup of the year, that it does provide those market signals to you. It's then for you as governors to make the tough decisions that influence these things.
So from the workshop on Tuesday the 4th, hopefully some of those kind of questions can be answered as we work through that workshop, and then that will determine whether or not or how far we go with the rates review.
Yeah. It's a good point, though, and that'll be picked up, and part of that process as far as the education for new ones, as well as around rate remissions, rate rebates, etc., and how that's funded through central government. Although we administer it, it's the welfare side of it is through central government. So I think that's the important difference, is that welfare sits with central government versus local government, but we have to have a lens to affordability, obviously. Further questions? Councillor Shannon and then Councillor Piddington.
Thank you. I brought this to the attention of the team with one of the previous drafts with regard to the recording of some of the notable achievements. Now, I understand by specifying notable achievements, it's looking for a certain level of achievement before it's published in this report. But it does feel like when we're reading through these that we've missed a bit of an opportunity to celebrate more of the good work that has happened. When I have a look at some of the different activities, I mean, if we can celebrate how many people go to use the pools or the library and what have you, but when we're looking at environmental services, for example, or roading and footpaths, stormwater, wastewater, very little has been highlighted there as achievements. And I know there's measures further on through the report, but can we identify and celebrate more of the good work that has happened? I mean, stormwater, for example, 2 bunds were completed in Gleneaty. I know there was a massive work program and we did achieve more than that. Can we include more than that stuff in here, please?
Short answer is yes. The long answer is whether the annual report, which is a bit of a dry corporate document that very few people will read other than yourselves, is the right avenue for that. But it does, as we build up the comms team a bit, it does give us more opportunities to get that data out and actually chase these things. Sometimes we don't know what we don't know because a lot of our staff are wonderful, quiet achievers that don't come and tell us about it in case we make them do things like pose for pictures. So yeah, no, it's again the value of these documents that actually, from an internal perspective as well, it does show our staff that we are doing good things as well. Again, whether it's the right avenue to put it out to the public, no, probably not, but that's where our comms function comes in to take the ball and run with it after that.
I think we talked about this last time, but on the KPIs, we've got 111 performance measures. I still think we're measuring some of the wrong stuff, and we need to work at that because, I mean, we only got a 60% pass rate, and I know it's better than that, but I just think we need to really focus on what's important to us in general terms. And I can't remember for the life of me why corporate activities doesn't have any performance activities. Is that because they're across the operational side of the business?
Yeah, there's a kind of mishmash of external ones where they touch the public. A lot of these, where there are statutory measures set by DIA, they go in, and the rest of them are set by you through the LTP process. So that's the process where you can go in and work out what you want us to do. A lot of these measures are where the council touches external people rather than internal service units. But I mean, whether that's a different way of setting KPIs by council for internal units as well, that's not really been explored yet, but whether this is the right avenue for that is a different matter. But I mean, it's not a bad thing to show the outside world that corporately we are performing well as well. So I mean, that could be something that you explore through the LTP process, which will be starting very, very soon.
I guess when we talk about rates and other things, though, we need to be careful while we celebrate. I mean, we made an operating deficit of $5.6 million, so the new councillors and everyone involved will have to tighten the belt, and that result could have been made worse, but we saved $4.2 million on finance costs. So the interest rates went the right way for us. Had they gone the other way, it might have been disastrous. So there's a balance to everything, I guess.
I think one of the comments that Nigel made is that the things that we had control, so things such as external costs and inflation and stuff like that, we don't really have much control about. It's one of those facts of life. But the stuff that we had direct control over, sort of staffing and that sort of thing, we're going in the right direction. Still a bit of work to do, but if you look at, to quote Councillor Booth's favourite set of graphs at the back, but the prudence graph at the back, you can see we have made some progress in that area at the moment, and it will be continuing over the next few years. But again, that will be down to the decision making of the councillors to help with that as well.
I guess to Councillor Pye's point, no one wants to see rates go up, but if we're actually going to deliver, there's only one way they can go, you know.
Yeah, look, I mean, it's an evolving landscape as far as capping and all those sort of things as well, isn't it? So it's going to be one for us all to think through over the coming months. Did you have a further question before I throw to Councillor Burt? No, Councillor Burt.
Is it a question? Because we're talking about it around, when and how we control the narrative, and to your point, Councillor Piddington and Councillor Pye, the key is that this is us measuring us, and sometimes the best measure of a council and their ability and where we are is to benchmark us against other councillors. The revelation the other day here, I'm sure, to the new councillors was if we decided to balance our books a different way and didn't look at applying depreciation, we wouldn't be in this position, and a lot of councils not doing that. So the other sort of things that the public need to know about why and how we do these things and how we've ended up in this position, but overall, because of very, very good stuff that we do, and we do need to start controlling that narrative.
I don't disagree. I don't think we're necessarily going to control it, but we need to put out all the good things that we're doing, and the reasons why we're doing it, and the depreciation one is a key reason over the years, which is positive stuff, generally speaking. Further questions? And then, Councillor Pye.
Let's have a follow-on one for Mr Dixon about the Peel Forest, sorry. So if we're way under budget, does that affect our government funding we got for that?
Mm-hmm.
Yes, MFE will funding 50% of the costs.
So no further questions. So we look like we have a letter of rep through. Is that correct?
Maybe adjourn for half an hour.
Yep. Okay. No worries. So we will have to adjourn now, and then we will come back at 3 o'clock.
Right, thank you. Welcome back, everybody. First of all, just need to note Mayor Bowen did have to leave at 4:46 p.m. and the tabled list of changes have been received by all of the elected members, as well as now the auditor's opinion. Thank you very much, Rudy and Jana. I'd like to welcome you to the room. Over to you.
Thank you. Double time at the moment.
Now we have the finance team all entering the room. I think they've wiped the sweat from their brows.
I could probably speak to. Yep, so the final version of the document has just been emailed and up to the hub is the version of this audit report relates to. You do have a list of changes from the version that was tabled as part of the agenda. And we're just reading through it at the moment, but would the team at Audit New Zealand like to make some comments, please?
Thank you, Stephen. So I can state that, in my view, the annual report that you have in front of you is not materially misstated. Provided Council adopts the annual report in its present form, we'll issue an unmodified opinion, which you have in front of you. I can make some comments just on the actual process. Fair to say that we have a lot of work to do prior to the 2026 audit. I think we found in this audit authority probably remains a challenge. So that's the FMA system. And I think the restructuring that Council went through also impacted the audit to some extent. Council may want to consider some of the risks that has been created due to knowledge loss. I'm in no way criticising the restructuring. That's part of how businesses operate. But there's probably been a bit of a loss of knowledge, which I think has impacted preparation of the annual report, which is probably part of the reason where we are at the moment. So I think from our perspective, we've worked hard with the finance team in order to get to a second year where we actually deliver an unmodified opinion within the stat deadline. So thank you to everyone that's made that possible.
Thank you, Rudy. What I'd like to do is offer our CFO and her team. Anything you'd like to add, please? No? You're just happy to see the end of it. Thank you very, very much for your hard work. How about our councillors? I know you've only just received it, but Councillor Scott.
I have a question for Rudy after that disclosure. I'm quite disappointed in your commentary. We have spoken to you at Audit and Risk, and I have never felt that our team was not performing at their best, and that they are a very organised and diligent team, and it's never been raised to us that there is a problem with our preparation of this document and the delivery of it. And we are sitting here at 5:08 on the 31st of October, and you're now sort of alluding to us that there was an issue in delivering in this time frame. So can you remind me how long we've been working on this audit?
Councillor Scott, I have raised my concerns with the Chief Executive, the Acting Chief Executive, and the Chair of Audit and Risk for a while now.
Thank you.
I would like to make a comment.
Thank you, Andrew.
So we have worked hard with Audit to get this across the line this year, but what it has highlighted is that there is no school for council accounting. It's not something that you go to university for or, you know, you learn. So it has highlighted that there are some areas that, you know, we need to skill up a bit more. So we'll work with audit to find somebody that can actually come in and help to, you know, smooth this process out. You know, funding impact statements are not simple to do, and we have a lot of different activities. So over the next 6 months, we'll be working on that process so that come this time next year, we hopefully won't be in this position.
Yeah, I mean, I'd reiterate there's some structural problems with authority that we are dealing with and the GL review that will hopefully be helped by the upgrades coming in the next wee while. There's a giant bucket of goodwill we've all been sipping from over the past few months, which has got us to this point. I don't think we would have got there without that on both sides, and I do actually thank Audit for their patience with us at times. And I thank our teams for their patience with me as I ask if things are ready. Yep, it's a tough and complicated document that all comes together at the last minute. Hopefully next time it will come together slightly earlier before the last minute. But I'm pleased that we've managed to get a unmodified opinion out within the deadline, just about, if you count the 10 minutes of overtime.
Councillor Stu Piddington, do you guys at Audit New Zealand have something in your bucket that could help us with that, you know, and the processes of it? Because I'm a bit like Councillor Scott, you know, concerned that you're concerned. What is it exactly we're missing in this?
It's a combination of things, Councillor Piddington. It's structural. I think definitely the way the annual report is put together. There's potentially a knowledge issue, which the CFO has referred to. There are complex statements that's part of the annual report. We have definitely last year and this year spent a lot of time with council staff trying to get a process in place that makes the putting together of the annual report a bit smoother. We definitely have our model financial statements, which we've shared. There are probably opportunities for us to, I wouldn't say get involved in training, but to have discussions with staff about, you know, how to maybe approach things a bit differently. So, you know, we have the resources, but I think we're probably in a better place to identify where the pressure points were. One of the things we did this year in order to save some time was to do a lot of interim testing of transactions. That has actually proved to be counterproductive because of the way journals were processed. So we will reconsider doing that next year. But I think first and foremost, I intend to have a very full and frank debrief with the Audit Committee. I've been quite firm and clear with Andrea and her team that, you know, we need to do things differently next year. So, you know, it is a negative, I guess, that we hear at this time, but it's a positive that a couple of days ago, I didn't think we're going to be here. So I want to take the positive from that. I do take councillors' concerns on board, and we will work with management in order to see if we can get that process better for next time round.
Thank you for that.
Thank you, Rudy. Councillor Pai.
I'm just interested in why this is such a complicated process? Is it legislation? Is it the council environment? Is it, because it just seems unusual to me why something is so complicated. Like, what is making it complicated? Is it legislation? And if so, we should be advocating for that to be changed. If this is so complicated that we're in this position every year. I'm interested in anyone's thoughts on that.
It is, as I say, a combination of factors. It's not necessarily the legislation, because the same legislation applies to all councils. There are some councils that manage to get sign-off before the election. I think, in my view, there's a lot internally that probably needs to be addressed. I think throughout the process we've been clear with Andrea and her team what needs to happen, and when things were off track, we were quick to try and put it back on track. But yes, I don't think, legislation is complicated, the accounting standards are complicated, no doubt about that. But it's not more complicated for Timaru than it is for, say, Waimati or any other council.
So I just have one more question. And so if the audit framework is the audit framework, I'm interested in how, because I didn't think we had huge changes to our finance team, especially at the level that's interacting with the auditor. And so I'm struggling to reconcile the difference between previous audits, the fact that all of a sudden now we're not, it's complicated, and the fact that we've had to restate a lot of comparisons, and where, in my mind, the change is the audit partner. Sorry to be so direct.
I'd probably answer that one in that we're actually doing reasonably comparatively better. We've met the statutory deadline just the last few times. Previous to that, we had actually missed it a couple of times as well. So there's learnings in that from it. We did think we were reasonably on track, but stuff just sort of jumps out of the woodwork when it comes along. I wouldn't put it down to the new audit team. They've actually been quite helpful. It's probably the first year there was a transition, or there was an different expectation, but we're sort of learning from each other as well. Yep, it's a work in progress, and I don't think our systems do help in that regard as well. And that, it's probably the same area, and that you find a frustration with the level of reporting coming out of things, because it's all the same, slightly outmoded systems we're trying to use. So hopefully a bit of investment in modernisation help that.
And we also do have a reason.
If I can maybe just comment on something that should work well, that didn't work well. Just the integration or the interaction between council and the holding company. So for us to get, well, not actually for us to get the information, but for Andrea and her team to get the information to do the consolidation was an unnecessarily complicated process. And I don't really know why. So, that is something that, I don't encounter when I do other holding company audits, council audits that have got big holding companies. There's a free and frank exchange of information. The information is provided timeously that allows the council team to actually do the consolidation. Here, it was simply not the case. So, Andrea may have some other comments to make, but, to me, that is just something I don't understand. I'm not the auditor, but it's not an auditor issue. It's more an entity to council issue.
No, I think, to be fair, Andrea did raise an issue around that, didn't you?
No, I just wanted to comment that, you know, we also have a reasonably new finance team as well. So this is their first year working through council. So once again, things that you do outside, not necessarily, you know, a little bit different here.
Well, the fact of the matter is that we now have our opinion and plenty of learnings to move forward with, and by the sound of things, good support from you too, Rudy. So we do appreciate that. And the only way is up, isn't it? But thank you very much for the work, especially and for our finance team.
Let me just ask, can I just ask another question? I think this might be a question for you though, Stephen, but just, so it just seems to me that that Rudy's saying some of the issues around our processes and around our people. What I was picking up from you is it's around the system. Is there an I know that we're moving to a new system, I don't know anything about them at all, but is there an expectation that some of these things are going to get dealt with as we move to a new system, or are we actually buying a whole lot more issues over the next financial year?
I wouldn't say it's any one thing. It's a sort of perfect storm of absolutely everything, as these things tend to be. Andrea can probably speak to the system side of it, but it will be more robust and allow for better modelling. And we're still running on a variety of Excel spreadsheets and templates that have been sort of around since the beginning of Excel. So it's a more integrated system that's looking at providing as a single source of truth rather than moving information around places, and that's where mistakes can come in. So that's the system side of it. Some of it is, as Andre said, experience. Council finances are a bit weird. They're not like businesses. They're like lots of little businesses all interacting with each other and charging in a very strange manner. And then, yeah, we've got the associates outside of that as well. So there's lots. I mean, as I said, it'd be really useful to have quite a robust conversation afterwards, and particularly through audit and risk, who are not shy about telling us to improve things, so we actually do get some learnings for next year. Yeah.
Any more questions, councillors? No. You're happy to move the recommendation? Yes. So we have a mover in Councillor Pye. Second, Councillor Burt. Put the motion. All those in favour, please say aye. Against, carried. Thank you, team. And I include you, Steph, in that team as well. There isn't a team that you don't operate within, and all of our other officers that contributed. There's a lot of work that goes into it, so thanks very much, team. So moving along from there, I'll just get the run sheet. Tremendous. There was no urgent business, minor nature, public forum, and there is no PX. Mayor Bowen re-enters the building. I declare the meeting closed at 5:22 p.m. Thank you very much, everyone. Thank you. Thanks, Rudy. Thanks, Jenna.